You have so many young guys who are going to be in this situation for the first time. Is there anything that the leaders kind of have to say to them about keeping your cool and not maybe getting too wrapped up in the atmosphere?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just to realize that it's still the same game. You know, the field size doesn't change, the measurables don't change. It's just the atmosphere is different, and you know, for us, we're able to play into that a little bit more because we feed off of that energy in our own stadium. So I think that's the biggest thing, is that, you know, understanding that all those people out there are there supporting you, so just go out and feed off that energy. Don't do anything out of the ordinary that you wouldn't usually do. Just go in, probably when you get in there, first 10 seconds run out of the tunnel, enjoy the moment for that time, kind of realize how special that is, and then be ready to play the game and just execute at the end of the day.
Trick. At what point in time on Saturday, when you guys get in, for you personally, you start to let the juice of the crowd and everything else inside you, so that you're not, you don't want to be too hyped and then be exhausted in the middle of the game and just gassed?
No, yeah, that's definitely something that you got to make sure you're not, hitting that peak too soon. You're not, getting too amped up during warm-ups, that when kickoff comes, you're already drained. You kind of got to be able to get that right sort of flow and get into that right feel. I think really start getting the juices going, right before you get in the locker room, or right before the game starts. When you run out of the tunnel, that's when you kind of, take that 10 seconds, let the emotions kind of get to you, and then kind of let that fuel everything that you're feeling right there. And then you're able to just kind of, once you go through that, lock in and then be ready to execute.
It's been a small sample size, but do you notice much of a difference without Nick Bosa on the field?
Yeah, like I said, it's been a small sample size. I mean, they're a tremendous defense as it is. They're really talented, especially up front. That's kind of been their staple for the last couple of years, and then they've produced top defensive backs year after year, and the linebackers same deal. So they're a top defense, and they're going to approach it next man up mentality. So it's he's not going to be there, but they're going to be able to reload and still be ready to come at you.
Trace, obviously you guys are focused on this weekend, but with fans, everything on Twitter, the videos, it's hard to not, hard to ignore the game 2 years ago. How big was that for you personally, that moment, that game, and kind of what's it like seeing some of the videos and all that kind of stuff on Twitter and how it go around?
Yeah, I think just as a team, what that game meant to us 2 years ago, it kind of skyrocketed us on the track we've been on for the last couple of years. I think that was probably the moment as a program that we really grew up and started realizing that we can compete at the top level of college football. When we had been able to compete, but when it came to the top level games, we would be into them, but we wouldn't end up pulling them off. And that was the first one, real big game that we were able to pull off. And I think that was probably just a growing moment for our program. But I mean, we're two completely different teams at this point. I mean, it's night and day almost from the team that we had back then and they had back then, and then what we got now. So two different teams showing up this weekend, but same atmosphere as always. And I know Coach wants it to be the craziest that's ever happened in college football history and all that kind of stuff. He's been getting all the fans used to how he does on Twitter and all that. So that's the main thing. It was a growing moment, I think, for our team a couple years ago, but like I said, two completely different teams now.
And Coach Franklin over the past 3 years has referred to you several times as like a steady Eddie kind of guy. But is there something about like a whiteout, about like a bowl game, a bigger game that kind of, gets to you a little bit, or amps you up a little bit more?
Yeah, I think for me, I always try and stay the same. I try and prepare the same. Whether we're playing whoever versus the whiteout, whatever it might be. That's just kind of how I approach, and I try and keep my approach the same, so I'm always in that same mentality, and keep my routine fairly the same. But I mean, I'd be lying if I didn't say that in games like this, when it came to Saturdays, you didn't have a little bit more juice, and you didn't the magnitude, you weren't as aware of it. I mean, you're definitely aware of the magnitude when you step foot into a game like this and things like that, and that's where I think you take that time to realize that and not let it get too big, and just understand where you're at. Take that time, 5-10 seconds, enjoy the moment, realize where you're at, but then you lock in and you're ready to go, and you kind of get back in that routine. So I think understanding that this magnitude is a little bit different with the atmosphere and everything around it, but being able to lock in and just play the game like you always have, I think that's the key.